Dragon Ball just keeps getting better and better. I recently posted a video about my early experiences with Dragon Ball, as I'm currently watching through the series for the very first time. Dragon Ball has been a massive hit for my entire life, so I wanted to see what all the hubbub was about. And to my surprise, that video did incredibly well, especially for a new channel. So thank you so much for that. And a lot of people in the comments section were very much interested in the rest of my journey, requesting that I put out more videos documenting my experiences. I put out a community post asking how you guys wanted these videos, and going from arc to arc was selected as the winning option. I think this also helps me pace out my journey as well, as I'll go from one arc to the next and cover them along the way, meaning I'm not watching any more Dragon Ball until I finish this video right here. And trust me, I want to keep watching, but I have to go do my homework first. Since I've never seen the show before, I had to look up when the seasons would break up. So in the first video, I cover the first two arcs, Emperor Pilaf and the Tournament Saga. And for this one, we'll be diving into season 3 with the Red Ribbon Army. As once the tournament is over, Goku goes on his journey to hunt for his grandfather's Dragon Ball. He takes Bulma's Dragon Radar and is completely solo dolo for this season. And from my experience, this recent chunk of episodes is my absolute favorite so far. There's so many moments spread throughout this saga that continue to pull me into the world of Dragon Ball, and I'm ecstatic to talk about it. But before I get into it, let me know in the comments section below. Do you have a least favorite Dragon Ball character? Last video I asked you for your favorite, so let's go in the opposite direction of the spectrum. Since my character knowledge is so limited, I'm gonna go with Bacterian. One of his special moves is a crotch stench attack, and that's all I need to say. And while you're down there, please be sure to hit that like button, as it helps out the channel big time for pushing out to potential new folk. Now let's take a look at the Red Ribbon Army arc. So I briefly mentioned my incredibly slim Dragon Ball history in the last video, talking about the types of Dragon Ball content that I have already consumed, and I completely forgot to mention that I did see the most recent Dragon Ball movie in theaters. I went with my baby cousin and we had an absolute blast, and I do remember that the Red Ribbon Army was the main bad guy for that film, so to see their origins was not something that I was expecting so soon. So something I noticed quickly about this series is the number of episodes for each season is all over the place. Season 1 was 13 episodes, Season 2 was 15 episodes, and now Season 3 is the most with 17 episodes. And I noticed that the trend continues with future seasons as well. I don't mind, just something that I thought was interesting to mention. A big part of this season that makes it stand out from previous seasons is the lack of the main cast. Goku has been traveling with Bulma and friends since the very beginning, and they all go their separate ways at the start of this new journey. This means Goku needs to tackle this brave new world all without his voice of reason. A lot of the comedy in the series stems from Goku's complete lack of social awareness, so this season had tons of moments full of laughs. The season itself is broken up into two parts. The first few episodes focus on clearing out some loose threads in the Tournament Saga, like checking back in on Nam, who has returned to his village after losing the tournament. We get an entire episode dedicated to Goku helping Nam restore water to his village, even bringing back Girin, who didn't get much screen time in the tournament arc. Eventually, Goku uses his Kamehameha wave to destroy the dam and bring back water to the village. Very much a bridge episode to bring us to the Pilaf and the Mysterious Army episode. Pilaf is back to his shenanigans of hunting down the Dragon Balls, but he's somewhat been reduced to a side villain this time around. The main bad guys this time around are the Red Ribbon Army, which is a full-blown militia focusing on hunting the Dragon Balls using any means necessary. Tons of strong men, military weaponry, and overall a much bigger threat than anything Goku has faced before. I do want to mention how much I enjoy the gradual increase in challenges Goku has to deal with. Like the first season was whatever monster of the week they had to face. Then the tournament arc brought some of the best competitive fighters in the world together, but now Goku has to face off against the military. There's something incredibly satisfying about watching Goku take down these grown men. Most of them are usually talking nonsense about how they're gonna squash him, only for the small child to humble these grown adults into submission. I feel like everyone has had this power fantasy at one point, where an individual has the strength to take down an entire army on their own. To see it on screen where Goku is just tearing through these guys like nothing, it's incredible. That's not to say that Goku doesn't get humbled sometimes in the season as well. I point to episode 32, The Flying Fortress Vanished, which might be one of my favorite episodes so far. A firefight has broken out between Emperor Pilaf and the Red Ribbon Army. While Emperor Pilaf has been reduced to a side character for now, he does show a lot of potential in his fight against the Red Ribbon Army, completely submerging his fortress under the ground so it can slowly take out their soldiers. It was pleasant to see him put in some work against other foes. There are also tons of fighter jets, guns, and explosions. It feels like a real battleground, all while Goku is right in the middle of all the fighting. The sequence where Goku gets blown off the side of the fortress, the animation on the fire that just swirls around him, big fan. I think this really put the Red Ribbon Army on the map since it showed how much of a threat they really can be, even Goku struggling to land in there during all of this violence. While Goku does eventually escape, his work isn't done. When he awakens from the knockout, he finds 2 capsules, one with a plane and another one with a robot. Goku then instructs the robot to fly the plane to the location of the Dragon Balls. The robot eventually freezes in the air due to the climate, eventually crashing the plane, leaving Goku to be found by a little girl named Suno. She eventually reveals that her village chief has been taken to the Muscle Tower, forcing all the men who work in the village to search for the Dragon Balls. Now Goku must clear through Muscle Tower and defeat the Red Ribbon Army on the inside. I want to quickly mention how much I adore Goku's coat in this. The purple coat, along with the orange pants, go so nicely with each other, and the hat is a solid touch. Overall, this entire fit is immaculate. I'm a huge fan. I want to dress like this winter, and a majority of the rest of the season takes place here at Muscle Tower. I want to mention that I am a huge fan of interior climbing stories, whether it be a tower or a castle or something. I've always been a fan of a story where the main protagonist needs to scale a building to reach the top, and along the way they might learn a thing or two about themselves. A common trope in fiction that I just love so much. One of my absolute favorites for this has got to be the 3rd Pokemon movie. Absolute banger if you've never seen it before, but in this case, Muscle Tower is like a boss rush for Goku. General White, who rests at the very top, is sending his minions to deal with Goku. Starting with Major Metallitron, which looks and functions exactly like a Terminator. He's a robot that looks like a human with robotic insides and super strength. Even the glasses and the voice lines for this character make it clear that this is a Terminator reference. Goku clears him out and then heads upstairs. I also like how Muscle Tower is drastically different on the inside. You wouldn't imagine finding an entire forest inside of this building during his battle with Ninja Murasaki. His whole battle with Murasaki is just Goku humbling him at every turn. Eventually, Murasaki uses a shadow clone type move. This killed me considering it's not just him using a special move, but rather he and his 4 brothers are working together to give off this illusion. Well, he got cooked too. Next up is the mysterious Android 8. Wait. There are other androids besides the one I know about? I genuinely had no idea androids showed up in the show this early with Android 8. He ends up being such a nice guy, not wanting to fight Goku since that's against what he believes in. And Android 8 ends up becoming Goku's companion for the next couple episodes. It is really such a warm feeling seeing how Android 8 is able to respond to Goku's kindness, since he's just been told what to do his entire life. Goku being the first person to show him some compassion got me. Next on the Muscle Tower Gauntlet of Pain is Bouillon, a monster that lives on a hidden floor. This one was sick because this is one of the first few bosses that freeze up Goku. None of his attacks are working, even his iconic Kamehameha wave fails. Just bounces right off of his belly. You have to remember, we saw this move break through a solid dam earlier this season, and now this move does nothing but tickle this man. But that's when we start to see the crafty part of Goku's fighting style. He thinks to break up this wall to let in the cold air, and the briskness ends up freezing his foe in place, leaving him open to one massive attack. It's cool to see Goku using his environment in this fight instead of just using his pure strength, defeating Bouillon and heading up to General White for the final battle. Now this was another one that had me pretty impressed. As Bouillon was the one with the superior strength, General White uses sneaky tactics to get the edge up here, like running up and grabbing Goku's tail, or by holding the village chief hostage at gunpoint. I love the little exchange they have about the village chief's life, where he's like, I would die for my village, you don't have to worry about me. And then a few seconds later, he's like, wait, no, let's not be too hasty, I want to live. Yeah, this show cracks me up sometimes. Eventually, General White takes a shot at Goku that looks fatal in front of Android 8, which up to this point has been pretty passive. But anger takes over and he attacks General White so hard he goes flying out of Muscle Tower. Honestly, an appropriate ending for this sequence. This man gets sent flying. Looks like Team Rocket is blasting off again. Goku has survived this shot, the village chief has been saved, and Muscle Tower is going down like the castles do in Super Mario World. With the Muscle Tower story over, Goku still doesn't have his Dragon Balls and the Dragon Radar is busted, so Goku decides to return to Bulma so she can fix it. These are the last few episodes of the season that focus on Goku locating Bulma in the big city. I think A Trip to the City might be one of my favorite episodes yet, because it places Goku in a densely populated location where he has no way of navigating it. Like, he's just looking around for Bulma off of vibes. No map, no address, no indication, just asking around to see if anybody knows her. Goku eventually ends up at a street fighting competition where the winner gets some prize money, and Goku just starts beating the brakes off this guy and just takes off with his money. Like, imagine being in this crowd and watching a little boy beat down this chiseled out man. Goku gets his prize money so he can take a cab, but then these guys try to rob him, and you can imagine how well that goes for them. He ends up going to a police officer to ask for help, and I like this guy because he has a Canadian accent in the English dub. Like, he's trying to make make sure Goku isn't sus, as we come to find out that Bulma comes from a very wealthy family. The police officer stays around long enough to make sure he gets where he needs to. Eventually, Goku does end up finding Bulma and the rest of his friends, and it was really nice to see everyone after everything that took place in Muscle Tower. Now, Bulma is mad at Yamcha because all of the girls want him. I mean, Bulma, you should be proud of that fact. You got a man that everyone else wants all to yourself. But Yamcha at the same time isn't really doing much to hold it down for her, so much so that she ends up dumping him and joins Goku to relocate the Dragon Balls. And here's where we are with the Red Ribbon Army. It seems like they'll be around for a few more arcs, considering this massive army does not go down easily. But this arc is definitely my favorite of the series so far. Seeing how Goku can hold himself on his own without the social awareness of Bulma was pretty fun. Also, seeing Goku take down military graded men leads to its sense of awesomeness. It just goes to show that Goku isn't allowing any form of oppressor to do what they want. If they have a problem with that, then they're gonna have to be fed his hands, and it's just as simple as that. The set pieces were also just so much grander this season. Like I said, I keep thinking about that air fight and all the different moving pieces to make that happen. It was also really nice to see Goku hanging out with other characters outside of the main cast, to see how others respond to his powers and his kindness outside of our main bunch. It does raise the question of what types of foes Goku will face off against next. I know eventually it gets to the levels where he's literally fighting off against gods, but to see how we get there from military fighting is what the climb is all about. This season shows Goku's resourcefulness, but also how he needs help from other people to complete his mission. And I'm excited to see Bulma make her return after her little break. It will be interesting to see where the Dragon Balls bring our heroes next, but this is what I thought of the Red Ribbon Army Saga of Dragon Ball. My favorite so far, which is exciting because the show just keeps getting better and better. Looks like the General Blue Saga is next, which feels like a continuation of the Red Ribbon storyline, so we'll just have to wait and see what happens next. Thank you all so much for joining me on this Dragon Ball adventure. I very much appreciate it. Thank you all so much for watching. Please be sure to comment, like, subscribe, and stay awesome.